Alright, what is up YouTube? It's BigDubz. We're back for the last part of the custom model making for Mudrunner. I left y'all with copying the files over in here, basically. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and open up our editor now, and we can check those files, and we can add the texture onto that file. Okay. Now that you have a meshes folder, and it should populate down here under models. If you expand your models folder now, should have a new one called box, training box. Okay, right here. So what I do is I double click on that file, and what it's going to say is, hey, there's no XML for this mesh. Mudrunner didn't find an XML. Do you want to create this XML? You always want to hit yes. Okay. It's going to ask you to name that XML. Always leave the name the same as what it is on here, because if you change this name, your class's folder or file will have to match this name. Okay. If you name it something else here and you're messing with the classes, the classes is what puts it into the game and usable in the game. Okay. These two files is what the game uses to read the model and what the model looks like and the texture that is on the model. And then the texture folder is where the texture is stored at for the game. Okay. So once you got all that, you can just click OK. And what that does is that creates your XML for that. So, and we will have a XML file now for our model. Okay. You can double click on that model XML file, and what it's going to do is it's going to bring in our boxes. And this is our two boxes, basically. So if I zoom in on these, these boxes are basically covered by our CDT, which is this down here. And this is our scene viewer, so this is basically the same view that we've seen inside the 3DS Max. Okay. And the scene goes as this is the model that the game will see. Okay, none of these other files the game is going to show you whenever you're looking at it in the game and like driving around. Okay. These are the subfolders or subfiles underneath that. Okay, and each one of these is a part. Okay, and this is a part one, and the reason why I split this box into two parts is because I wanted to show y'all how to texture multiple parts. Okay, if this box too, the smaller box, I wanted a different texture on it, I would have made a different texture and done the texture process the same way for the small box with a different image. Okay, but for this purposes, I can use the same texture for the same box, but it allows me to show y'all that there's two different parts here. Okay, and how to structure this XML code. Okay, because what we're about to do is we're about to start applying the texture to these boxes. In order to do that, the game uses an XML code. Okay, right now you see that I have blank, no materials. Right, I just got a white box. If I was to put this in the game, it'd have a white box. We don't want a white box. We want a cool looking box. So, what you got to do is you got to add your material, and that is done by opening the XML to the box. To do that, you can just right click on the box or the scene anywhere, basically out here, and you can get these options. You can reload the document, you can open the XML, or you can reset matrices. I don't ever need to reset the matrices really, but I do use open XML and I do use reload document. Reload the document is to reload the texture. So if I made a change to it and I was working on the editor and I copied those files into the editor and overwrote the old file, texture file, I need to hit reload document here to reload the texture file. Okay. But for here purposes, we need to edit the XML. So I'm going to edit the XML. Okay. And the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to click on this combine mesh by double clicking on it. Since you have the Mudrunner tools, if you double click on it and you don't get anything, you don't have the Mudrunner tools plugin installed correctly. And you're going to have a little bit of an issue. You're going to need to look at a already pre-made model. If you got somebody else's model, you can actually go look at the XML file structure out there. So that's the only other way, really. There is structure in SnowRunner guides on how to create a custom model, but it's not close to how they do it in Mudrunner. So I would just grab somebody else's model and look at how they set it up. But for these purposes, I have the tools, so I'm going to hit Combine Mesh. Okay, and I need a type. What type of model it is. So you have to have type, and I need a material. Okay, and I need a material in my child, and I need a material inside of this code. And you'll see what I'm talking about. It's going to fill out the code for me. So this is a little bit complicated, but a simple model like this is not too bad to understand. And I'll show you one of these other models that I have where like the code gets a little more complex. But it gets pretty repetitive, so you kind of understand it. Okay. And what that does is that kind of pre-fills out my model here with some code that I need. The type is going to be a model. Okay. And then you're going to have a section now here for materials. Okay. But this material is not filled out either. So you got to double click on material, click material, and it's going to give you options. You'll always want to add a child node to the current node. And what that does is that's just putting the brackets down at the bottom. So if I hit OK, see there? It closed the brackets and added in some garbage here. But material, okay. I need to include mesh parts. Mesh parts is the how it understands that it needs this box to be the part that gets the texture applied to it. Okay, and I need a diffuse map. Okay, and I would use a normal map and normally on this, and I'll go over normal map here in a minute. But we're going to go ahead and add that in. We're going to add all that code in. Okay. So this is what you want it to look like. And then I need to copy this and make two of these because I have two parts. Okay. If I only made one of these, it would only be one part would have a material. The other part would have nothing. Okay. So for mesh parts, I just literally type in box underscore LG. You'll also notice that there's a part 0 under there. So if box 0 had subparts, box large had subparts, you would see part 0, part 1, part 2, part 3. And if I want to apply a texture to those, you literally just come over here and type 0. Okay? Then you put a space and put 1. Space, 2. Okay? But for this purpose, we only want it on that one. Okay. Now, diffuse map is where you're going to click File, and it's going to open up a big file explorer for you. And you'll notice that you're looking for your textures. Okay. If you click on textures on the left hand side, this is going to be the texture you're going to apply. Okay. And then that texture is going to always be under the models folder that you're under, because that's where we place that texture folder. If you have a subfolder like this, that means somebody's made a subfolder and they've put textures inside a subfolder. So that's what that means. I've done that, or this other guy actually did that. I didn't do that. I typically just put mine in the models folder. That's best practice. So just put them in the models folder. But what we're going to come in here and we are going to look for our training box image. You can see I have all kinds of tons of images. This is my collection. So, but for this part, I need this image. If I was, applying a different part, I would apply a different image. And you always want to make sure that it's the diffuse_alpha image. Okay. Otherwise, there's other mapping. There's a normal map. Normal mapping applies like 3D objects to the surface of it. And we'll go over that here in a minute. So, for right now, we're just going to do a diffused alpha image. Okay? And for my normal map, I don't have anything, so I can leave it blank. Same thing. If I left all these other ones blank, hey, let's do that. So, I'll show you how to work this out. So if I hit save right now, you always want to hit save too. I close this, the game's going to ask me, hey, you've made some changes. Do you want to reload this box? Or this model? Yes. And boom. We got a texture now on our box. Okay? And this is what it would look like in the game, pretty much. So, not a bad looking box. Kind of flat looking, but not a bad looking box. Okay? But you notice that our second part has a material, but it has nothing in there. It's white. And that is because, like I said, in that XML, we did not specify any material for it. Okay? So, if we come in here and I just specify a material for it, go back to our training box material, we found it again. We hit save. You would think, okay, this box over here is going to get a texture. It assigned the texture, but it's not appearing on the box. Why? And that is because I did not fill out mesh parts. Okay? So, mesh parts, diffuse map, and normal map have to have something inside them for it to populate whatever you need it to populate. Okay? So, mesh part needs to have box underscore SCM. Okay? Save. Close. Relay. Bam. And it applies that same box texture over there. Now you have two nice, neat boxes in the editor. Okay? Sweet. And we can reload document. You are pretty much done with getting it in the editor and everything like that. Now, to use this though in the game, you're not going to be able to use this in a level though. So if I go back to our training level like I had before, and we want to add on right here, add model, you're not going to see that model in this list. And that is because we have not created the classes XML for this model. Okay? So we need to do that right now. Okay. And to do that, we got to go back to our Mudrunner folder. Well, actually, the best way to do it is I found, if you go back to Common and you go back to Editor, you go to Media, you should see a Classes folder already because it imported in these into the game. If you go into Models, you can actually go grab one of the other models' XML file. Okay. Let's use. Their sign's actually a good one, honestly. But you got to be careful. Like their for sale sign. Let's look at it. This is close. I could use that, but this is kind of more or less what we need. Fog heaps. Anyway, I kind of go through these, trying to looking for the class model, looking for the right information that I need. Let's see, house. See all these features that it has in here. Honestly, I'm just going to use one of mine, and I can explain the structure of it, but we'll just use this sign right here. Basically, this is about all you need. So let's copy this. Let's get back to where we were. Close all these. Sorry. Well, heck. Trying to hit a spot here. The best way is you can create a new XML document, honestly. Or you can copy something from over here. Alright? And it doesn't really matter. Just copy one of them. Heck. Let's copy the fuel tank. Copy. Paste. Okay. Rename it. This is the most important part. You have to name this exactly what we named the model. So it's got to be train box underscore DBZ. Okay. And then inside here, what you really need. Actually, this barn didn't have actually. Not too bad of the stuff that I needed actually. Cool. You really only need this. You don't need this Oculus. That's about all you need. There's some other constraints, like a wooden bridge. You want some more things in this XML document, but for a basic model, this is all you need in your classes file. You need model brand, physics model, and the collision as a dynamic. That's all you need. So I'll give you a second to get that XML if you want to pause, but you want to save that, close that, close that. Okay. You can go back to your editor that you made that XML file. And go back into pre-build. And go back into our level. And we could test this out by adding model. And we got no errors, which is a good sign. And now we have our box. So we add it. We got two little tiny boxes. And they kind of are a little bit too small, like I said. So, size them up. Kind of set them over there. Put them on the ground. Rotate them. Just kind of sitting on the top of the ground. Bam. You got your two boxes. So, okay, we're not done yet. Okay, if I was to save these files, okay, this model now is this map is not going to load my models. It's going to crash. Okay, and that is because that model, that file, that map file is missing that model. Okay, so what you really need to do is you need to go back to the editor and you need to copy a couple of files left to finish out this model, this custom model. Okay, and you need to go back into your media folder. You need to go back to your meshes folder, models. You need to go find that XML that you made for your box. Okay, you need to copy that file back into your new model. Okay, folder. Perfect time. So, and then the last item that you're going to need to go grab is back in Mudrunner Editor, Media, Classes, Models. And we need to go grab our box Classes XML. Okay? We're going to drop that back over in our Model folder. Classes, Models, Paste. Okay. Now then. Now, that is all the files that you needed to make a model. So if I copy all these files, we go back to our Mudrunner Editor folder one more time. Like I said, that comment folder is real important. You go back there quite often. If I go in here to this editor, and I go Media, I go Mods, and this is from my other training video where I used to make that test map, guys. For those of you that don't know, and this is where you would go to upload those files. You would make sure and have those right here. See there? And you just paste those in. Okay? So that if I loaded up the game, we go back to Proving Grounds. We go Level. We load in our level. Oh, I missed a vital step. Save. Sorry, close. You would need to copy over the models there, but the changes that I made to that map is not there. So, sorry, common, editor, media, need to do levels, tests, no, train. Copy, common, editor, media, mods. Place. Okay. So, now then, if I loaded it up, we should see that model. And there we are. Your first custom model in game and ready to go. And that's how you make custom models, guys. So, you know, like I said, your CDT should be working right. If I come over here and I try to, oh, see there? See how my CDT is working? That little box has its own CDT now, basically. So I could drive up over it. If I had a better mod or truck or something, I could get up on there. But if I didn't have that CDT right, the game wouldn't be able to handle it, really. And my tire would just kind of go through the box, like you see it's kind of trying to do. So, but anyway, that's it, guys. That's custom models on Mudrunner. I hope y'all enjoy. I think that is it for this series. I'm going to call it right there. I'll be making a few more items, this and that, so be on the lookout. Maybe I'll do a snow runner. Maybe I'll do a little bit more custom stuff. You know, maybe I'll do subscription fees, and I can do some more in-depth tutorials. So, but anyway, check them out and let me know what y'all think. Later, guys.